Remember when you were in school and someone asked the teacher a question he couldn't answer, and suddenly the next words out of his mouth were, "Class dismissed"? Yeah, well, that's what Speaker Johnson just did for the House. What was the question? A vote on a bipartisan push to release the Epstein files, and poof, time for recess. The now 5.5-week August recess. A full 180 for Speaker Johnson. It was just, last period when the teacher said, there's no such thing as a stupid question. A week ago, he wanted full transparency.
It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide.
The president has said clearly, and he has now ordered his DOJ to do what it is we've all needed DOJ to do for years now, and that is to get everything released. So they're in the process of that. There's no purpose for Congress to push an administration to do something that they're already doing.
Joining me now, two people I'm sure with perfect students. CNN political commentator Xochitl Hinojosa and Republican strategist Lance Trover. Glad to have you both. I have to go right where he said, Lance, because there are sources that are telling CNN that Speaker Johnson essentially told House Republicans, of course behind closed doors, that the administration needs some time here to deal with whatever the it is. Is the Speaker essentially saying that our congressional authority or our interest for the public is not as important as that time?
I don't think so. I think there's folks in the media and some on the Democratic side who want to spin it that way. But I think, look, it's the president's prerogative. He's the one who is giving the orders to DOJ and others, or at least nudging his Justice Department to move forward on this.
But it's Congress who asked for it. They have to wait for the president to say,
well, they don't have to, but look, it's the Speaker's prerogative. He's the Speaker of the House, and if he wants to give the president the leeway, that's certainly his prerogative. And the quote that came after that was, you mentioned the transparency. He agrees and still says everything should come out. That was not included in that video that we just saw.
Well, let me play for you another bit. I like transparency. I like full quotes as well. So there you go. Speaker Johnson, Xochitl, seemed to suggest that the congressional oversight actually would hamper DOJ's efforts at the time, and that was part of why he wanted to delay. And there are some conservative hardliners who are not having it at all. Listen.
It's not going to die down. I know. If you assume that, the public decides that anyway. I don't assume anything, particularly with this. This transcends politics.
But 79% of the American public want some sort of transparency.
It's the #1 phone call that we get, by far. It's probably 500 to 1.
500 to 1? I mean, of all the issues, that might shock people, I have to say, that this is the issue, but it's very symbolic, it seems, of other issues. How do Democrats deal with what's 500 to 1 for Republican calls?
Well, it's very obvious that what Speaker Johnson is doing is he's trying to protect Donald Trump politically. And I think that Democrats are just sort of along for the ride and just watching this all unfold. They don't control anything. And it's just funny that the administration has sort of been caught up in all this. In terms of the push and pull with Congress and DOJ and who gets, the oversight capability to interview witnesses, et cetera, there's always this push and pull with DOJ and Congress. And
it happened during Mueller.
It's happening during Mueller. But it's normally for investigative purposes. It's normally when there is an ongoing investigation and when you could potentially hurt the ongoing criminal investigation within the Justice Department. It's never really about a political issue per se. And this is something that's a little bit different because what you have here is you have Congress and Republicans in Congress who are hearing from their base. Their base is clamoring. They're getting the phone calls. They want to do something about it, so people will back off of them. And the White House is essentially telling Congress, hold, wait a minute. This is a political problem that we have, and we're trying to deal with it. And so I find it interesting that it's not the law enforcement. This isn't for law enforcement purposes that they're asking Congress to wait. It's more for political purposes. And that's very clear when you see Todd Blanche sort of taking this meeting with Maxwell and sort of taking the reins of this sort of whole political problem within the Justice Department.
And yet, there are some in MAGA who would say this is about criminal investigation. We want to know the full truth. We haven't heard everything. But to a larger point, this isn't just a partisan issue. I mean, you have Republicans who are calling for this as well. Obviously, Speaker Johnson is saying no till August. But walk me through what you envision August being like for Republicans who are going home to their districts. We know what town halls look like when people were irritated about mandate-related things. This was part of a mandate. How do Republicans grapple with the public who might say, you told me I was going to see something. Where is it?
First off, I think Democrats are a little more than just along for the ride. They gummed up the House Rules Committee all day with amendments, and that's the reason it got shut down. So you're a little bit more than just along for the ride.
Well, I heard her sarcasm, but I get your point.
Karen, House Speaker Mike Johnson railed on Democrats today for not being intellectually consistent when it comes to the Epstein case. Take a listen.
Go back and look at their social media accounts, we have, and their public comments. They had exactly 0 posts on the subject for the last 4 years of the Biden administration. Interesting, isn't it? We all understand that the America First agenda and the American people are best served by putting an end to the Democrats' sideshows. And that's what we're doing by not allowing the Rules Committee to continue with that nonsense this week.
What do you make of that?
That's absurd. The only reason that we are even talking about this is because Donald Trump has been trafficking in conspiracy theories. Epstein died in jail, however you believe that happened. Ghislaine Maxwell was in jail as of 2022. There she would remain. The only reason any of this is happening is because Trump has been trafficking in these conspiracy theories, promised to release the information, and then they botched the release of the information. And now what you're seeing, I mean, Trump must really be terrified. Let's throw all the best, golden oldies out, right? It's Obama's fault. It's Hillary's fault. Let's release the files about MLK Jr. Like who else is left to blame? And let's not forget though, the grand jury testimony is not the files. It's a great misdirect, but it is not the files. And there are individuals who know exactly who the men were, and they're terrified. And those are the women who were trafficked, who were raped.
I will give you the point that you made that this has been a topic that has been brought up during the campaign by Trump, by several members of the MAGA base. I'll also, hopefully that you'll also recognize that Epstein was charged while Trump was president. But the Democrats here are making a very political move. To Speaker Johnson's point, they are picking up the politics of it.
Hold up, though.
You have to at least acknowledge that this is a political game that has been happening over the last couple of weeks.
But let's acknowledge that Epstein, it was a ridiculous deal that he got in the first place.
Back in 2008.
Back in 2000, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Back in 2008. These women had been trying to come forward for years, and no one believed them. Again, finally, some modicum of justice. He is tried. He dies in prison. They get Ghislaine Maxwell. You're right, Jake. There are others who probably should have met justice. Guess what? There's politics in politics, and if you are going to stoke the base with crazy sauce, don't be surprised when you get some of that sauce on you.
I'm not
surprised.
I'm just saying let's acknowledge the fact that we're now outside of, with all the empathy for the victims in this case, we are now in this political gotcha game that the Democrats are playing as well as the Republicans did prior to the campaign. The Democrats are now playing this post.
But I think
they're using, again, they don't have a message to run on, but they've got the message of Donald Trump not coming clean the way that he said he was going to, and they're running that as far and as hard as they can.
Well, we've been making the case that he is not keeping his word to the American people on a number of issues, like what's happening with inflation and the economy, like what's happening with tariffs, like what's happening with immigration. And guess what? There are other pockets, we've seen it in the polling, there are other pockets of Americans who agree with that. This is the first thing I will grant you that the MAGA base and your influencers and right-wing media they're even saying they don't buy it.
You granting me that is all I ever really asked for.
That's so sweet. Can I just say one thing? I just want to mention one thing, which is Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz from Florida has been pushing this bill that would require that all victims of these kinds of crimes be alerted if there is a plea deal. That did not happen in 2008. Yes. That was kind of like it wasn't just a sweetheart deal, but it was done in secret, basically, yes. And these victims were, and so I just want to say there's one Democrat, yes, I can say who actually was talking about one aspect of it, but I totally take your point. House Democrats have not been talking about this. Senate Democrats have not been talking about this. But why would
we have when she's in jail? I mean, it sort of was like case closed. He's dead, she's in jail,
because of all the
so
slimy men that were part of taking advantage of these poor trafficked girls and women.
Which could or could not have included Bill Clinton.
Okay, great. Let's see.
It could or could not have included any number of high-profile Democrats, Republicans,
And you know what? May they all rot in hell if they assaulted women.
You know what? I think we all agree on that. Let's
Yes.
just end on that, Karen, and girls.
Yes.
Even more so.
Yes,
perhaps.
they were girls at the time.
That's
Yeah.
another level of hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Down even one more level. Mike Dubke, Karen Finney, we all come together
See?
in our anger and hatred towards these traffickers.